Hey guys, welcome back. So I want to go through with you guys the best way to build your downtown main hospital area. So first of all, you're going to need to choose your area. So I chose this area that isn't on a too busy main road already. So you don't want to add in a whole lot of hospital traffic to an existing really busy road. So choose a road that isn't extremely busy but still is relatively large enough to handle a good amount of traffic. So I've chose this one right here. It is an easy city block to work with, so you're going to need a lot of different road connections. So that's why I chose this one right here. So it's a city block, so there's going to be so many different opportunities to connect to your main roads to the hospital. So of course you're going to have a lot of just cars coming in to drop off people, a lot of workers coming in, so they're going to drive. You're going to have a lot of buses, maybe taxis, even service vehicles, delivery vehicles, and then just a lot of the ambulances as well. So you don't want all of that traffic to have to go onto the one road. You want to split out all of that traffic as much as you can. So that's why I've chose this. So we've got the two inner roads, and then we've got all of the whole area around this hospital to work with. And so like I said, you really want to split out the traffic as much as you can. If you have a hospital on one main road, it's really going to be it's just going to be a lot of traffic on that one road, so split it out. And then also make sure that you have a lot of pedestrian access, so whether that be through public transport, or of course you want to have public transport quite close by, so that's why I put it here, because the train is right there and it's really close to the downtown area anyway. So a lot of pedestrian access as well. And you have to keep in mind that you need to have a lot of green space. So if you're in a hospital, you're inside a lot of the time, so you want to be able to have space to go outside, whether it's just to get fresh air or you want to take in the scenery. You need to allow for space for that green space. So I don't have like a huge designated specific area for green space. I try to split it out throughout the areas in my hospital area. Towards the train station there, I do actually add in kind of like a, I guess, entry slash like, hey, look at me, this is the hospital over here type park. But I wouldn't say it's like one where they would go to like relax or anything. It's kind of just like a centerpiece. What I forgot to mention earlier is that you need to have parking available. But if you're putting your hospital right near a public transport facility or some kind of transport hub, your dependency on parking lots isn't as much, because it would hopefully encourage more people to use public transport instead of coming to park in a expensive hospital parking lot. It might be also beneficial not to have it in a really heavy residential area. So like there's going to be a lot of ambulances at all times of the day and night, so that's probably going to really annoy residents in that area. So it's still okay to have some residents in that area, but it's mostly, if it's in downtown area, a lot of the downtown buildings have insulation that stops the sound from getting inside their buildings. So maybe they're okay with it. But if you put it in a more urban area, a more rural area where the houses are just very suburban, it's really going to affect them more. So keep that in mind. You might need to put in a lot of trees, because obviously they're going to block a lot of sound. Okay, so this open green space that you can see right there, that is the main green space center I was talking about. That's kind of like the centerpiece for the whole hospital. So you can get off the train and then you're greeted with a lot of green space, which I think is a really nice little just option to have. So I don't know if that's really a good seating area for people to go from the hospital, because it's right next to the main road, so it might not really be that relaxing for them, but nonetheless it's still nice to have a lot of different green spaces throughout the whole area. You might notice that I've added in the bus lanes. You might see it every now and then. So I've only added in one bus lane that goes through the whole facility. So I want that one bus lane to be the only one where the buses will go through, and it will be the only area that acts as the bus stop. So I didn't want to put the bus stops on the main roads, because I just didn't want to disrupt the traffic in the areas surrounding it. So one thing I'm not sure if I mentioned earlier, but I didn't actually design any kind of like emergency drop-off zone, just because I didn't really know where that would actually be in terms of in the game. So I guess that's why I've added in those smaller roads that you can see right there. So it can kind of act as if there was an emergency type thing in the game, the smaller roads could act as that, and then also just the other roads going through the whole facility area can actually act as the emergency lane, I guess. They could use the bus lanes right there. So yeah, I didn't really plan for that. I think what was the most tedious with designing the hospital is just the gardens in general. Like, even I didn't put in so much green space. There's honestly not much at all, but adding it in and making it not look too overcrowded it takes a long time. So a lot of the trees and plants that I used are actually quite low. So because the buildings here are kind of high, so I didn't want to add in higher trees that kind of make you feel really closed in. So all of the plants are generally quite low. So it kind of helps make it more, I guess, open. And I mean, and regardless on the height of the trees, it's still going to have some kind of relaxing effect. And it's already been proven that having trees and just plants in general in urban areas really lowers the amount of stress in people. So it's really important to have that, especially in a hospital area. Another thing I forgot to mention earlier was, if your hospital is generally quite small to begin with, you might want to leave some open green space, which will actually allow for future expansion. So you might notice a lot of the time when I play my game, I'll put down really large roads that kind of seem out of place, and I do that just so it allows for any future expansion, just so it's done. So if you plan on expanding, you might want to leave green space. So the green space, it's still going to be beneficial now, whether or not you do expand. So it's always good to have that in the back of your mind. So guys, that is pretty much it. There isn't actually too much to designing your whole hospital. So I think the most important thing to take from this video is make sure that you don't just have a hospital on one road. You need to make sure you have several different roads, several different connections. So don't forget to include your public transport options, and also make sure it's really pedestrian friendly. You want people to be able to walk around. You want to allow for lots of different access points throughout the whole facility, and you want to make sure that you have a lot of green space, a lot of trees, and that's pretty much it. So one other thing that I didn't really implement in this video is a pedestrian bridge. So obviously my hospital is right next to several main roads, so there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to cross the road to even just like to get to a cafe or something. So you might want to put in a pedestrian bridge, or you might even want to do a pedestrian bridge that goes directly to the transport option. So for me, I could do one that goes directly from the main sort of down, like the main part of the hospital, that kind of elevates over the road and goes directly into the train. So that's just something to consider. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Like I said, there isn't really too much to it, but I think sometimes it's just nice to hear what you have to do exactly. So other than that, yeah, there's not much else I can say. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Give this video a like if you want to see more of these type of very specific videos, and overall I'm pretty happy with the product. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll be back very soon with another video. Bye for now.